Story 1, Toxic Secrets, submitted by Jigen. So yeah, let me tell you about my old boss, Roger, the guy everyone loved to hate. Greedy old man, maybe because he was old but in good shape and never had a family of his own. We all worked at this chemical factory on the outskirts of town. You know, the type of place your mom warned you about when you were a kid? Yeah, exactly that. The plant dealt with some pretty heavy-duty toxic chemicals, but Roger was all about cutting corners and saving a buck. The factory was always dimly lit, shadows hugging the walls and the hum of machinery echoing through the space. Honestly, it felt like the horror movie setup, but we needed our paychecks, so we put up with it. Roger was, as you would expect, always in his office, counting money or whatever bosses do. We thought he didn't care about anything but profits, especially since he's never really involved in the floor operations. Then this new guy, Max, joined the team. Picture someone who looks like they belong on a Wall Street boardroom, not a factory floor. Slicked back hair, sharp suit. You get the drift. Max was immediately on Roger's good side, and we all felt a shift in the vibe around the factory. Things started to get weird, like machinery malfunctioning more frequently, safety protocols getting overlooked. You could feel the tension thicken like a fog settling in. One evening, I was doing an overtime shift with a few others. The factory was quieter than usual, and the low buzz of the machines almost sounded menacing. That's when Max called for an unscheduled meeting. Odd, but we all shuffled into the conference room, Roger included. Max began talking about new innovative ways to increase production, ways that could involve using more hazardous chemicals in precautious ways. The room was thick with unease. Roger was surprisingly quiet, just staring at the floor. Before you knew it, alarms started blaring. Someone yelled, "Chemical leak!" Panic swept over us. People were coughing, eyes watering as a corrosive smell invaded the air. That's when Roger bolted from the room, not saying a word. "Told you. The guy is saving his own skin," someone muttered. But instead of heading to the exit, Roger ran towards the leak. Max, on the other hand, sprinted right out of the factory like a bat out of hell, not even looking back. We all scrambled for our emergency gas masks, barely able to see through the chemical fog that was thickening by the second. I thought we were goners for sure, but then the alarm stopped. The ventilation system kicked in, clearing the air. We heard over the intercom, "It's contained, it's safe, get out now." We found Roger laying on the floor near the leak site. He had manually activated the emergency containment measures, but he wasn't moving. Paramedics confirmed what we all feared. He had inhaled a lethal dose, and he was gone. The investigation later revealed that Max had been tampering with the factory's safety mechanisms. He had planned to cause a disaster, claim the insurance money, and pin it all on Roger. But Roger had figured it out, confronted Max, and had been collecting evidence against him. In Roger's office, they found a stack of documents, safety upgrade proposals, risk assessments, stuff he had been fighting to get approved by the higher-ups for months. But get this, tucked away in a drawer was a folder labeled Employee Health Plan. Inside, it was full of invoices and paperwork. Turns out, Roger had been secretly subsidizing our health plan out of his own pocket. When we dug deeper, we found out that the corporate bigwigs were actually considering cutting our paychecks, or worse, slashing our health benefits altogether. Roger was trying to offset that by footing the bill himself, so we'd never feel the pinch. We also learned that Roger had no shares in the company, no insurance scams, nothing. He wasn't the villain we made him out to be. He was just a guy who got caught in a mess far larger or even scarier than we could have imagined. And in the end, he saved us all. Man, we were all wrong about Roger. You know, maybe the reason he always seemed so grumpy was because he was shouldering this big secret mission to keep us all safe. Like he was in a never-ending battle with the higher-ups, just so he could go home healthy at the end of the day. It's kind of heartbreaking to think that he didn't want us to end up like him, alone, misunderstood, and with nobody really giving a damn about him until it was too late. So yeah, the factory is closed now, and Max is behind bars. Just one more thing, judging and being judged is really scary. Story 2, The Last One Out, submitted by Roseanne. Okay, so listen, I've got this friend, Sarah, not just any friend, but one that could do it all. Career, social life, perfect hair, you name it. Sarah had this habit. She liked to stay late in the office, being the last one to leave. But lately, she had been telling me that weird stuff had been going on at her office after hours. The printer down the hall would spontaneously print out pages, or the elevator would ding and open, even though nobody pressed the button. I told her she was just working too hard and that her mind was playing tricks on her. She laughed it off, but I could tell she was a little spooked. Now, Sarah had this coworker named Mike. Guy was a coder, quiet, and not exactly a social butterfly. The word around the office was that he got passed up for a promotion that Sarah got instead. Look, I don't want to stereotype here, but dude gave off some not all there vibes, you know what I mean? So one evening, Sarah was as usual, last one at the office. She texted me a selfie of her at her desk, all alone, looking like a damn cover for a business magazine. I replied with an eye roll emoji and told her to go home already. She called me about an hour later, and her voice had an edge. "Hey, something super weird just happened," she said. "I heard footsteps, like high heels cracking down on the floor, but there's no one here." I checked. Being the supportive friend I am, I told her, "Girl, you've been watching too many horror movies. You're the only one in high heels there. Just go home and sleep it off." 2 nights later, she called me, and I could hear the terror in her voice. "Listen, I think someone's in the office with me." I heard footsteps again, but this time there was also whispering, like someone was talking to themselves. I'm freaking out. "Call the police, Sarah. This isn't a joke anymore." "I will, the line went dead." I freaked out. Okay, I called her back like 100 times, no answer. I was about to call the police myself when my phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. "All good, false alarm, see you tomorrow." I sighed relieved and went to bed, but something didn't sit right with me. The next day, I went to visit her at her office unannounced. The receptionist told me Sarah hadn't come in that day. Confused and worried, I called her cell. A voice answered, but it wasn't Sarah. "Hello, Mike, is that you? Where's Sarah? She won't be coming in anymore. She finally got the message. Why are you still here?" I froze, suddenly connecting the dots. But before I could say anything, he continued, You really should have told her to listen to the signs, not to be so full of herself." My heart was pounding, but I managed to blurt out, "What did you do to her, Mike?" Me? I did nothing. She did it to herself. She should have left when she had the chance. Now she's finally gone. Then the line went dead. I immediately called the police. They raided the office, arrested Mike, but they never found Sarah. It was like she vanished into thin air. The weird thing was, her office was locked from the inside when they got there. They had to break the door down, but no signs of struggle. No signs of Sarah. That was a year ago, and they still haven't found her. Mike was found not guilty due to lack of evidence, but everyone knows he did something. We just don't know what. Last night, I heard my printer come to life. I found a single page laying on the tray. It read, "Why are you still here?" And the scariest part, it was in Sarah's handwriting. Story 3, Too Lazy to Lock, submitted by Joel. Okay, so there I was, the king of laziness, immersed in my video games in a messy basement, surrounded by unwashed clothes, empty chip bags. Yep, a professional at doing nothing. One evening, a weird noise, not your typical tapping from a swaying tree branch, comes from my grimy window. I try to ignore it, thinking it's just the house settling, but something feels off. Days pass, the tapping persists, now with scratching, annoying, but not enough to steer me from my comfy beanbag. I barely have the energy to microwave a burrito. The tapping gets unbearably loud one night. It feels like someone is trying to communicate. I finally check the window, and I notice a shadowy figure in my yard, just staring. Unnerved, I try to shake it off and return to my game. Paranoid thoughts swirl, but I dismiss them. I'm not in a movie after all. A week later, a text from an unknown number appears. "I see you," it reads. I'm startled, but I convince myself it's a friend pulling a prank. Yet I start locking my doors, though lazily, leaving only the front and back secured. Trying to sleep, a soft click, like a door closing, resonates. I'm paralyzed, my heart racing as slow, deliberate footsteps approach the basement. Then, a text. "I'm here," from that unknown number again. I'm petrified, barely managing to gather courage to escape when the footsteps recede. I hold my breath waiting. When I finally check, the door is open. A note on the table saying I should be more careful and mentioning my mother's heavy sleep. I rush to her, finding her safe. A wave of relief hits me. From then on, I'm vigilant, sealing every possible entry and cleaning up my act. But the eerie feeling of being watched lingers, every noise making me jittery. Months later, a friend sends a link to an article. Local serial intruder arrested. It's him, the shadowy figure, his mugshot staring back at me. A detailed journal found at his place, listing names, mine's included, and his sinister plans. He never worked alone, always had a partner. The article advises vigilance while authorities look for the second individual. I realized my mom's safety that night wasn't luck. His partner was there, ensuring she stayed asleep.